Enlil looked more closely at Terra and his sons. This seemed to him a worthy lineage, and from there should be chosen the man appointed by Galzu. Without revealing his dream vision, Enlil said to his son, Nannar, "Establish a city, inspired by Ur, in the land between the rivers. It will be a home away from Ur, and it will be for you and Ningal. In its midst, you must raise a sanctuary temple, and let Terra be its high priest." In accordance with his father's decree, Nannar established the city of Haran in the lands of Arbakad. To serve as the high priest in its sacred temple, he dispatched Terra along with his family. When 2 heavenly parts out of the prophesied 3 were completed, Terra went to Haran. At that time, Ur-Nammu, the joy of Ur, fell from his chariot and met his mortal fate in the western lands. Upon the throne of Ur, Shulgi took command. He bore a warrior's soul and had a keen appetite for battles. In Nibruki, he anointed himself high priest and sought solace in the body of Inanna in Uruk. He enlisted the mountain warriors, those not serving Nannar, into his army. With his forces, he disregarded the sanctity of the Mission Control Center and invaded the western lands. Setting foot in the 4th region, he declared himself king of the 4 regions. Enlil was angered and summoned Enki for a conversation. Enki spoke. "The rulers of your region have crossed all bounds." Enlil retorted, "Marduk is the root of all troubles." While keeping the vision dream to himself, Enlil turned his attention to Terra. Terra had an elder son. His name was Ibru, also known as Abraham. Abraham was a prince, brave and well-versed in priestly secrets. Enlil ordered Abraham to guard the holy places and allow the celestial chariots ascent and descent. As soon as Abraham left Haran, Marduk, who had been wandering through each city and region, reached Haran. Marduk, too, had observed the desecrations and invasions by the rulers of Enlil's regions. He noticed that this was the harbinger of a new era and a new order. So, on the border with the lands of Sumer, while in Haran, Marduk planned his final assault. 24 Earth years had passed since Marduk arrived in Haran. And then, by a message of the Oracle of the Temple, he knew that time has come. With tears in his eyes, Marduk called upon the other gods, all of them. Marduk proclaimed, "O gods of Haran, O great ones who judge, know my secrets. Just as my belt wraps around me, I recall my memories. I am the divine Marduk, a great god. In my domain I am known as Ra. I was exiled due to my sins and was banished to the mountains. I have wandered many lands, from where the sun rises to where it sets. I reached the land of Ishkur. I lived in Haran for 24 years and sought an oracle in its temple. I asked about my lordship. And the oracle of the temple told me, 'Your days of exile have ended. O great gods who determine destinies, let me return to my city. Let me establish myself in my temple Esagil, and from there install a king in Babylon. Let all Anunnaki gods gather in my house and accept my covenant.'" The Anunnaki gods were perturbed and alarmed. Enlil summoned all Anunnaki for a council. All were agitated about the events, and the position of opposition to Marduk and Nabu was unanimous. In the council of the great gods, accusations were abundant, and recriminations filled the chamber. Tension seized everyone. Enki spoke up and advised, "No one can prevent what is about to come. Let us accept Marduk's supremacy. But these were only Enki's words. An irritated Enlil opposed. If the age of the ram is coming, let's prevent it from reaching the heaven-earth bond. Let's annihilate the place of the celestial chariots. All decided to annihilate the place of the celestial chariots except for Enki. Nergal suggested using the weapons of terror, and all the Anunnaki agreed. Only Enki opposed, once again. Thus, the decision taken on Earth was sent to Anu, and Anu repeated the same words to Earth. The decision was made. As he departed, Enki said, "What was destined to be will fail due to your destructive decision." To carry out the evil deed, two were chosen. They were Ninurta of Enlil's clan, and Nergal of Enki's clan. And then the assembly of the gods ended, and so the decision was made. Enki was the only one who opposed, but his heart was at peace. Before Enlil came to Earth, it was he and Abgal who had hidden the weapons of terror. Enki had no idea that Enlil had two secrets: the vision dream of Galzu and the secret location of the weapons of terror. Enki did not know that Abgal had shown Enlil the secret location of the weapons of terror during his exile. Enki could never imagine that their long stay on Earth would provoke a calamity unlike anything known before on this planet. Without any contact with Enki, Enlil revealed to the two Anunnaki, Ninurta and Nergal, the secret location of the weapons of terror. He showed them the mountain where they were hidden and told them that they were inside an earth cavity. Afterwards, he revealed the secret of how to use the weapons of terror appropriately. Before the two Anunnaki left for the hidden place, Enlil gave them words of warning. He said, "Before the weapons of terror are used, evacuate the place of the celestial chariots of all Anunnaki. The cities must be spared, and people must not perish." In his celestial chariot, Nergal headed for the hidden place, but Ninurta was delayed due to his father. Enlil wanted to talk to his son in private, so Enlil told Ninurta about his dream vision and Galzu, and also about his choice regarding Abraham. Enlil told Ninurta, "Nergal may not be in perfect conditions of thinking. Make sure the cities are spared, and warn Abraham about the weapons of terror." Meanwhile, Nergal, who had already arrived at the secret location of the weapons of terror, programmed the ME to utilize the weapons of terror. Nergal gave each of them a working name. The first weapon he called the One Without Rival, the second the Blazing Flame, the third the One Who with Terror Crumbles, the fourth Mountain Melter, the fifth Wind That the Rim of the World Seeks, the sixth the One Who above and below no one spares, and the seventh, filled with monstrous poison, he named Vaporizer of Living Things. After the instructions from his father, Ninurta went to the secret location of the weapons of terror. When he arrived there, Nergal had everything ready to cause destruction and annihilation. Nergal, desiring revenge, said, "I will kill the son and annihilate the father. The lands they covet will fade away, and I will destroy the sinful cities." Ninurta asked, "Nergal, will you destroy the righteous with the unjust?" Nergal replied, "Enlil's instructions are clear, and I know the decision of the Anunnaki too." Then the two waited for Enlil's signal. 7 days and 7 nights they waited. During this time, Marduk returned to Babylon in the presence of all his followers. With weapons in hand, he declared his supremacy. But this was Enlil's intention and the necessary step for the destruction to begin. That was the year 1736 in the count of the Earthlings. On that fateful day, Enlil sent the signal to Ninurta. With the signal, Ninurta left for Mount Mashu and Nergal followed him. Ninurta from the skies inspected the mountain and the plain in the heart of the fourth region. With a heavy heart, Ninurta signaled Nergal and warned, "Stay there." And from high in the sky, Ninurta released the first weapon of terror. The top of Mount Mashu cracked and the guts of the mountain melted in an instant. The second weapon was released over the place of the celestial ships, and with the brilliance of 7 suns, the rocks of the plain became an open wound. The earth shook and collapsed, and then the skies darkened. The plain of the celestial ships was covered with burnt and crushed stones. In all the forests that once surrounded the plain, only 3 trunks stood. Ninurta, from high on the celestial ship, from his black bird, affirmed, "It is done." And so, the lands coveted by Marduk and Nabu were forever devastated. Then Nergal said he wanted to be the Annihilator and desired the title of Era through his deed. Following the king's road, he flew to the green valley of the 5 cities. Nergal planned for this to happen in the green valley where Nabu was converting the people. Thus, over the 5 cities, one after the other, Nergal, under the title of Era, sent a weapon of terror from the skies. And so, in a wave of destruction, he completely annihilated the 5 cities of the valley, which quickly turned into desolation. They were razed by fire and sulfur, and everything that lived there turned into vapor. With such terrible weapons, the mountains came down, and the barrier that held the waters of the sea broke. The sea waters spilled into the valley, and the valley was flooded by the waters. When the waters poured over the ashes of the cities, steam rose to the skies. From high on his ship, Nergal shouted, "It is done." And so, in his heart, Nergal, now known as Era, had no more vengeance. He had done what he planned. Inspecting their evil work, Ninurta and Nergal were confused by what they saw. The splendors were followed by the darkening of the skies, and soon after the storm blew. Inside a dark cloud, whirlwinds formed in the sky and an evil wind rose, plunging the sky into twilight. As the day went on, the sun disappeared and darkness took over the horizon. Night came, and with it a dreadful splendor highlighted its edges, causing the moon to disappear, swallowed up in a dense cloud of destruction. When dawn came the next day, coming from the west, from the upper sea, a wind of a dense storm began to blow. And then the dark brown cloud moved east, heading towards the inhabited lands. The dark brown cloud traveled, and wherever it went, it brought the death of everything that was, without any mercy. From the valley of no pity, the cloud of death was carried to the lands of Sumer. Ninurta and Nergal gave the alarm to Enki and Enlil. They announced, "The evil wind is relentless, and it will bring death to all." Enlil and Enki transmitted the alarm to the gods of Sumer with a clear message. "Escape, escape." They shouted to all. The frightened gods fled from their cities and quickly ascended to the heavens. The message to the people was clear. Scatter and hide as quickly as possible. The inhabitants of the lands fell under the claws of the evil wind, and their fugue was completely useless. Death was silent, and like a ghost, it attacked all fields, all lands, and all cities. The winds of death passed through the thickest walls like the waters of a flood. There was no door that could keep the wind away. Those who hid inside their houses and with the doors closed were swept away, and thus like flies they fell to the ground. The streets were piled with bodies, and the mouths of those trying to survive overflowed with saliva and foam, and then the blood came with a premonition of death. Slowly, the evil wind blew over all the lands and crossed from west to east over plains and mountains and annihilated everything that lived. After its passage, nothing was left alive. The waters, once clear, were poisoned, and in the fields all vegetation wilted. From Eridu in the south to Sippar in the north, the evil wind devastated the country. In the second region, all lands south of Babylon were devoured by the evil wind, which also reached the heart of the second region. But ironically, the sacred Babylon, from where Marduk had declared his supremacy, was spared by the evil wind. And from there, where Marduk and his followers had declared command of the whole earth, everything continued as if nothing had happened. After the great calamity, Enki and Enlil met to analyze what had happened. Enki said, "The fact that Babylon survived the great calamity serves as a divine sign. The salvation of Babylon confirms that Marduk was destined for supremacy." Enlil replied, "It must have been the will of the Creator of all." Then Enlil revealed the dream vision and the prophecy of Galzu. Enki questioned, "If you knew about this, why didn't you prevent the use of the weapons of terror?" Enlil said in a distressed voice, "My brother, the reason was clear. After your arrival on Earth, each time the mission was obstructed, we found a way to overcome the obstacle. Thus happened the creation of Earthlings, which was the grand solution, and this was also the source of a myriad of undesirable turns. When you came to understand the celestial cycles and assigned constellations, who could foresee the hands of fate? Who could distinguish between the lots we chose and the fate we could not avoid? Who proclaimed false omens and who could pronounce true prophecies? It was for this reason that I decided to keep to myself Galzu's words. I needed to know, were the words of the emissary of the Creator of all true, or was it my delusion? So I said to myself, what has to happen, let it happen. Enki listened to his brother's words, nodding his head. Enki said, "The first region is desolate, the second region is in chaos, the third region is wounded, the place of the celestial ships no longer exists." That's exactly what happened. Enlil said, "So that was the will of the Creator of all. And if that was the will, then this is what is left of our mission on Earth. This is exactly what was sown through Marduk's ambitions. So let him reap the seed of what he has planted. Let the 50th position, which was to be Ninurta's, be granted to Marduk, and let Marduk declare his supremacy over the desolation in the regions. As for me and Ninurta, we will no longer stand in his way. We will go to the lands beyond the oceans, and for the reason we came here, on a mission to obtain gold for Nibiru, we will continue until the conclusion of our tasks." Enki listened carefully. Then he said, "Perhaps things could have been different if the weapons of terror had not been used." And Enlil replied, "And if we had not heard Galzu's words to not return to Nibiru, what would have happened? And if we had stopped the Earth mission when the Anunnaki organized the first rebellion?" The two pondered. Enki said, "I did what I did, and you did what you did. The past cannot be undone. Isn't there also a lesson in this? Isn't what happened on Earth a reflection of what happened on Nibiru? Is the past an outline for the future? Will humanity, created in our image and likeness, not repeat our successes and failures?" Enlil remained silent, and when he stood up to leave, Enki reached out to him and said, "Let us greet each other as brothers and as comrades who have faced many challenges on a foreign planet." Enlil reciprocated, and grabbing his brother's arm, he also embraced him. Enki asked, "Will we meet again on Earth or on Nibiru?" Enlil responded with another question. Was Galzu right? Would we die if we returned to Nibiru? Then Enlil turned and left. Enki was left alone. Only his thoughts accompanied him. Enki sat down and reflected on how everything had started and how everything had unfolded until now. In his heart, many doubts still remained. Was everything destined, or was fate forged by this or that decision? He pondered to himself, if heaven and earth were regulated by cycles within cycles, could it be possible for what happened in the past to happen again? Is the past the key to the future? Are the Earthlings destined to imitate the Anunnaki? Will the Earth relive what Nibiru lived? Should the first to arrive be the last to leave? Assailed by his thoughts and numbed by his doubts, Enki made a decision. He said to himself, everything that happened needs to be recorded, from the beginning on Nibiru until this day on Earth, and that in posterity, at the time chosen by destiny, the Earthlings read this record and can remember the past to understand the prophecies of the future. Let the future be the judge of the past. Thus, Enki waited for the appropriate time. And on the 17th day of the second month of the 7th year, after the great calamity, he called for 2 emissaries. He clarified that his chosen one to record the information was a scribe, son of Udbar, a man of Eridu, named Endubsar, the master scribe. He told the emissaries that they should lead his chosen one by a small ship to the lands of Magan, in ancient Egypt, where the gates are, in the middle of the river of Magan. And there, for 40 days and 40 nights, Endubsar, the chosen one, recorded all the information on 14 tablets, and then recorded his own attestation. Thus, Endubsar, one of the survivors who had escaped death during the destruction of Eridu, received from Enki the blessing of the long life. Through the hands of Endubsar, the words of Lord Enki were recorded on the 14 tablets. No word was lost, no word was hidden, and his words traveled through time and space until in the future this story finally found us. So the saga is complete, and the story of the Anunnaki based on Zecharia Sitchin's The Lost Book of Enki is concluded. However, this channel does not find its end, and the mysteries surrounding the Anunnaki narrative remain even more intense. To what extent can we consider this story a fiction, and to what extent does it find the truth? In the tablets that are available for reading on the internet, can the authenticity of such narratives be verified? Continue watching the videos on the channel and look for answers to your questions in the available playlists and videos. Together we will uncover the mysteries that surround the Anunnaki story and topic. Thanks for watching.